Hey everyone, this is Cam Heyward, and I'm on the whole podcast today. And man, this is a good one.
Welcome to the whole. I'm Rob Sprance.
And I'm Lori Levine.
I'm pumped. Cam Heyward, captain of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is here from Latrobe St. Vincent College during training camp. Cam, I just thanked you before, but I can't imagine this being easy right now to fit in, so I really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Just finished some meetings, got a couple more things to go after, but glad to have you guys for having me on.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on because, we have all different types of guests, celebrities, all different types of things, and over the last few years, you've been a lot more outspoken and visible in the media and things like that. And your personality is coming out more than just press conference interviews. And, and I've seen what a ball buster you can be and what a funny dude you can be in general. And I love that. So I was like, you know what, we got to have him on. I want to start with the most important thing before we get into football is the work that you're doing with Heyward House, the Cameron Heyward Foundation. You've been up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. It's got to be 5 or 6 times now. I think it's rigged. I think you deserve it. I'm calling it rigged. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about, why you wanted to get started with this and the things you guys do? I know you just had a charitable event, a softball game and things like that. We're both New Yorkers, but at the same time, I understand it's more about just Pittsburgh. It's pretty much anyone can donate, and I'm going to get into that in a minute.
Yeah, we started the Heyward House in 2015. I started thinking about a foundation for a lot of years. But for me, I wanted to see in my first couple of years in the league of how to do a foundation. I didn't want to rush it, but I got to see guys like Troy Polamalu, Brett Kiesel, Aaron Smith find ways to give back. And through that, I got to see how I could give back. And through years later, we got to start Heyward House. And we get to serve underserved kids, both in the Pittsburgh community and the Atlanta community, both places I grew up. We've done book bag drives, we've done shoe drives, food drives, and then we've also started Craig's Closet in honor of my dad. He only had one suit throughout high school and college.
He didn't need it.
He didn't need it. You think you don't need it, but there are a lot of times, whether it's prom, a college interview, a job interview, he didn't have that opportunity. And a lot of kids we meet, young men, don't have that opportunity. There's Dress for Success, but there's no male equivalent to that. So through, some great donors that have helped put this together, we've been able to put Craig's Closet in actual schools. We have about 10 schools right now. The goal is to try to do it across the country one day. That's just one thing. We've really tried to boost confidence in our kids. Another way we've done is free little libraries. My grandparents were both teachers, very big in the education, and to provide a way so that kids can have books or adults have books, whether it's financial literacy or, just a good book you want to read. You shouldn't be discounted or not have the chance to do that in any area you live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've noticed in some of the research I did on it, it's not just that. You work with cancer patients, you work with so many different things. And, one of the things that I want everyone to know is you don't have to be in Pittsburgh to donate. And more importantly, you don't have to just donate. You can buy merch from the site. So there's a bunch of Cam Heyward merchandise on there where proceeds go to the foundation. I noticed the Blitz mix. I'm fat on it already, but I noticed you have the Cam Heyward Blitz mix. So you can order things. You can get, it's not like you're just donating, which would be amazing if you just did that. But anything you buy off the site, All the proceeds go to the foundation. And you can go to the website here is the camheywardfoundation.org, and you can go there and purchase something, make a donation, and for all the work that Cam puts in, and if you're a Steeler fan like I am, all that he's done for you as a fan, that's the best way I would think you could give back, other than maybe donating to his next contract. But
no, I'll just say this. I'll say this. It's a pleasure to be among a city that really supports their team. And you mentioned the softball event. I didn't even put on the event. It's just people want to donate and help out our foundation. And to know that I have so much support from the city of Pittsburgh and, across the world, we're just very thankful for that.
Yeah, so I want to make sure that everyone watching, everyone listening, go and just, even if you give a little bit, do whatever you can, purchase something. We're going to do the same. We're going to put the link up here for everybody to go to. There are tons of foundations out there, and you don't know which ones are legit. Sometimes you don't know what's what. Cam's is legit, and he's going to win the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, and then you can't claim part of that if you don't donate. It's really that simple.
Hey, good luck.
So, training camp is begun. This is day 3, only day 2 of practices, and I know there's no pads yet, but man, is it hot! How are you acclimating? I know they call it the acclimation period, but I can't see how anyone can acclimate to football.
You prepare in the off season, and I'll tell you this: before training camp even started, the last 3 weeks, I'm like, get as hot as possible to prepare me for camp. Got 80 degrees, pretty cloudy most days. And then we get to Latrobe, and the first 3 days, it's like 87, 88, 90. And you're like, oh, this is how you do it. You're setting yourself up. But,
80% humidity.
Right.
Yeah. That's just Latrobe. So, if you're coming out here, bring some water, bring some Gatorade. I feel like as the older guy, I'm like, man, you got to make sure you take care of your body. Staying on top of things after a hard, long, hot day. It's mostly getting in the cold and hot tubs, just trying to, regulate your temp.
And how's your transition now from season to season? How has it changed since early in your career? Because you're playing still at an incredibly high level. Screw Pro Football Focus. I think you are without a doubt one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And how do you stay at that high level? Because obviously, as we get older, you have no choice but to adjust. And did it used to be where you had a cool down period and you took time and then you ramp back up, or now you keep it level? Like, what's the differences now, or has it always been the same for you?
In the off season, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, for the off season part.
I think as you get older, you start to take more time with your body. I feel like before it was like I could take time off and, then ramp back up. I think now it's just a gradual increase to the season. And I like it that way. I'm learning more and more about my body as I get older. And, you find out how you can be more efficient in your body, in your time. And you understand what you don't need and what you do need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now that you're adjusting, and the good stuff's going to start soon, where you guys are going to get to hit each other and just play, getting adjusted. You've got a lot of new teammates, some great veterans, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Patrick Peterson, future Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. Are you excited? I know you're excited for every year, but what are you excited for? Which of the new players are you really excited to see what they become as part of this defense?
I think you hit the nail on it. You think about Patrick Peterson. I've always respected him, and had a good chance to get to see his game from so far. But getting him as a teammate just goes, above and beyond. His knowledge and what he provides to the team is huge. And I'm looking forward to just growing with, not only him, but the whole team. Those dog days, we call them, those long summer days. And you're like, who's going to pass out first, the offense or the defense? And those start to weigh on you. But I look forward to it. You got to embrace it because that's where you show the mettle of your team. And I think we'll be better because of it.
Yeah, and I think a great sign was, from the fan perspective, I know it doesn't mean as much to you guys as it does, but it was a great sign to see no showboating when people showed up. They all just showed up. Here's my pillow. I'm ready. There maybe was a massage chair incident here and there, but other than that,
that's the specialist. What do you expect?
It's true. Good point. I know it's super early. Is there anyone that stood out to you that you're surprised by, or that you've noticed the jump already, or is it a little too soon to tell?
Oh man. You look at the younger guys.
Rob's picking his fantasy league right now.
I know.
Head, so.
I don't do fantasy, man. It's all about the Steelers for me. That's how I roll.
I think the one thing I'm really excited about are these big corners we got.
Yeah.
You got Joey Porter Jr. and Corey Thrice. We call them avatars, and they play like avatars. So they're long and lanky. It really disrupts that quick passing game to have those bigger guys. So I'm interested to see how going forward it's going to be. But, they definitely fit the measurements. They're really good kids.
Yeah, it was very exciting to still be able to grab Joey at 32, which had me thinking, like, when you watched the draft, and I know you did an event there during the draft,
right?
But when you watch the draft, do you do what we do? Like, do you root for them to pick a certain player when it's on the board? You go, I want him. Like, do you have that feeling even as a player?
It's not like I want him, but you start to look at just the draft board, and you're like, man, if Joey Porter Jr. falls to us, that is a slam dunk for us in our book. Doesn't always work out that way.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
There are plenty of connections for guys that you start to think, this might happen, but it never really works out that way. To think it's worked out our way in some fronts, it's special. I think I was excited about the TJ Watt, draft pick. And there's been countless others. Always been excited. What you don't know about the guy is everybody's done their homework except you. And you're like, oh, I'll get to learn this guy. They know what they're doing. But it's just fun to actually put like a face to it and then interact with them and really create a bond that way, because I think it goes a long way to trust the draft process. And then you see what they were looking at and you're like, oh, this guy's a star.
Yeah. And, drafting brings me to the subject of Meatball. Your brother, Connor, who became a fan favorite pretty quickly, just because he's definitely not like any player that we've seen before. Like, he's definitely doesn't have the same shape as most tight ends. And, he had two amazing plays that I know that touched you as well. But the first thing I wanted to know about that is, do you internally walk a fine line between big brother versus team captain versus, like, do you try sometimes to restrain yourself? Because I'm sure you want to mentor him a little more than others would be. Like, do you walk that fine line, or is it just tough? You're my brother. You're going to hear it.
I think when he enters the facility, he is my full-on teammate. Oh. And I do not go back from that. It's almost easier to be my little brother than my teammate sometimes.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And I think we grew a lot this offseason working together, but showing it, letting him get through his rookie year is a lot. Yeah. For any rookie, there is a wall you hit. There are things you're going to experience that you're not used to because you're so used to playing 12 games and this being only part of what you're doing. Usually you have education, you have your school you're a part to. But when you become part of this fraternity in the NFL, there's a lot of things that change. And I kind of relish that because I'm like, oh, now I'm not alone in this. And so my mom's like, you got to quit picking on your little brother. And I'm like, Mom, he's my teammate first right now.
That's right. And you pick on your teammates too. I've heard you call Kenny Burger King hands any chance you get. You were ragging on Highsmith's calves the other day. Like,
of course.
It's the way
I don't shy away from it because the guys before me never did.
Right.
And you just want to test them. You want to see how far it takes for them to, get mad sometimes. I'm all about, finding buttons to push.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't push, you're even killed. So be it. You're a serial killer, but find out either way.
Did you, were you, I'm sure you were wishing that he was going to get drafted, and were you surprised, or I know the board has to fall a certain way, but were you surprised when you got the call? Because didn't you tell him instead of?
No, I didn't tell him. Actually, so he found out before me, and I always thought like maybe it could work out. I know the Steelers were a little bit interested, but they kept me in the dark for the most part. And it happened the way where the team before was up, and I saw my brother take the call, and he ran in the other room, and I was like, who was it? And he was like, hold on one second. And I was like, how can you do this to me in a time like that? And then we look on the screen and he's getting drafted by Pittsburgh. I'm like, dude, you couldn't have told me. And then Coach T called me after he called Connor, and I was like, Mike T, you could have let me in on a little bit. He was like, it's not about you. And so,
right, of course,
it was a special moment for our family. My mom's been traveling all over to Ohio for me, to Michigan State, to Georgia, where we lived. To know that me and my little brother will be in the same city, and we have family here, it's been pretty special.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you had that moment at the Atlanta game, that touchdown pass. Like I know you were a little annoyed that the camera caught you tearing up.
Yeah,
but in retrospect, I'm glad they did. It made it a good moment.
I was in the clear. I thought I was in the clear. I had some people around me, and I was like, yeah, they didn't catch me. And what do you know? My face is on the TV, and I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, I guess they have a view of everything, but, man, that was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially given, the history with your dad playing and everything else. So, I don't we have tons of time, but I've got some rapid fire questions that I'd like to ask, which is always a fun thing that we do. But before we do that, I also have a question do you ever entertain the outside media about the Steelers? Like, do you ever listen to a podcast here and there just to see what they're saying, or do you just shut that stuff off?
I'd be lying to say I haven't listened to it. It's just sometimes, they blow smoke and you don't know what they're talking about half of the time. Yeah. And I kind of get a giggle out of it because sometimes they are lost completely.
Yeah, I've heard you make comments about, well, did you know that we're not going to open the offense up? Like, all this stuff you just read on national media. But actually, one of the ones that I love listening to, you might know this, Cris Carter. He also works for Post-Gazette, and he's the host of Locked On Steelers, which is an excellent podcast. I asked him if he had a question for you, because he always asks you press conference type of questions. So, a question from Cris.
Hey, Cam, this is Cris Carter from the Post-Gazette and the Locked On Steelers podcast. Well, I'm probably going to ask you a whole bunch of questions about the team this year while we're at training camp. I thought I'd take this time to ask you a question about your career and ask, who do you feel was one of your greatest offensive line rivals as far as opponents and guys that you went back and forth with over the years? And what are one of your favorite moments or most memorable moments in the back and forths that you had with so many different great players that you've played against in your time with the Steelers?
Oh, man. I don't like giving offensive linemen credit.
So no one is again.
But I've always had a lot of respect for guys like Joel Bitonio for Cleveland. Some of the battles with Quentin Nelson have been, very special. Yeah. Trying to think in the AFC because, the NFC, it's all over the place. You could play him one time and, not playing for 4 years.
Never see him again.
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost say the Ravens' offensive line in general, I'm sure.
Yeah, the battles between the Ravens offensive linemen, it's been all over the place. The one thing I've loved over the years, and Coach T's always alluded to this for me, when they draft high pick guards, they're there to get me out of the picture. And so I kind of look forward to those moments because they're sending in their reinforcements to get me out of the league.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to some more battles this year for sure. Okay, so here comes the rapid fire ones. You ready? And we may expand if it's a damn good answer, right?
Wait, okay. I have one. Rob.
Go, shoot.
Cam, what do you bring to training camp?
My Apple TV. Oh man. Besides my Apple TV, my toothbrush. And I always bring. So this is really cool. So after my rookie year, I had a quilt made with a bunch of jerseys from Ohio State and a couple shirts I had gotten from Ohio State over the years. So I always bring that to camp. That's a shout out to all my Ohio State fans out there.
Nice. And you don't have a roommate anymore at this point, right? They don't room you out.
No. My first roommate was Marcus Gilbert. That was kind of rough. He snored a lot.
All right, so let's go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's one player you'd love to sack into the dirt that you haven't done to yet?
Oh, that I haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah.
Man, who's out there? Oh, man.
Or that you're looking forward to doing it to again?
Oh, looking forward to doing it. Just everybody in the AFC North.
Yeah.
I've gotten them all, but, it's always, icing on the cake when you're able to get
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers is a good one to get too.
Yeah, even you were even busting his chops. There was a tweet of him lifting weights, and you were like, "Those are only 10 pounds."
Well, on Twitter, people like to embellish a lot.
Yeah,
and it was like, "Whoa, 10 pounds!" I'm like, guys, are we looking at the weight? He might look in great shape, but let's not go crazy about 10 pounds.
Who was the smelliest teammate you ever had in the locker room?
TJ Watt's pretty smelly.
Okay. All right, here's one. I'm gonna teach you out. He looks like he gets smelly. He works hard.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at that.
Did you ever get punched in the groin during a loose ball scrum?
Ooh.
Or has anything been done to you? Because I've heard some stuff about what goes on in the pile.
Yeah, I haven't been punched, but I've definitely been grabbed inappropriately. And those scrums used to be even more wild than they are now. And luckily, there's rules where you can't pull off a guy because it was a mosh pit. And it would take like 10 minutes to get each guy off.
Right.
And the ref would just let it happen for the most part.
So they would just grab your groin sometimes just to get you to let go of the ball?
Yeah. When the fumble happens, it is not as easy as just, the ball's on the ground. Oh. There's a lot going on there.
All right. Next one. How far do you think you can throw me?
Oh, how big are you?
See, Lori, yeah, I told you would. You told me you would ask. 190.
Oh, man, 190.
I said when Rob told me he was going to ask you this, I'm like, he's going to want to know logistics. He's going to really think about this.
Height. I need to know weight. I need to know what position you're going to be in when I throw you.
Whatever position you want to. All right, let's say you're taking both limbs.
I'm going to be in the fetal position.
All right, I'm going to be crying.
5 to 10 yards.
All right, 10 yards.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with that. Have you ever played or practiced hungover at any level?
No.
All right.
No, I didn't start drinking till, I was like 22.
All right. Well, that's good because you are who you are now because of it. Who's the best trash talker on the Steelers?
TJ Watt.
Really?
TJ has got some zingers, and you're like, ooh, that one's going to hurt a little bit. He doesn't shy away from it, and I love it.
So the success is starting to make sense because not only is he insulting you, he's coming at you smelling and all of these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's going to hear about this podcast, and I'm going to hear an earful about it.
All right, what city's fans do you feel the happiest sending home pissed off?
Ooh, I always look forward to playing teams in Ohio. Ben has got that record over, those Ohio teams.
He's the daddy. You can say it. He's the daddy.
Yeah, yeah. But, for me, I think playing Ohio State, because my wife is from Cleveland and I get to hear her cousins talk about it sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I like sending you guys home a little bit.
Nice. All right. Few more. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to hear it, do you still not get invited to Kenny's wedding?
Well, it looks like it, man. I was not ready for that. To see my brother get an invitation, I was very hurt.
Yeah, I was very surprised. You would think that you would invite have you ever been in that situation too where you just had to choose, you can't invite everybody, you can't win?
Yeah, I know how it goes. I'm just mad I wasn't even my brother's plus one. So
yeah, that's true. Good point.
He was my other brother. So it made it even worse.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I think he's had enough of you, Durant, for now. All right, one last one. What's your favorite Tomlinism?
Oh, my favorite Tomlinism, 2 dogs, 1 bone.
Yeah, that's a good one, especially right now.
Yes.
Wait, there's a right and wrong answer to this. Who's the best defensive player ever?
Ever?
Don't tell him, Rob.
Best defensive player. Man, you're going to get me some trouble. I think it's either Troy Polamalu or Joe Green.
That's right.
No, it's Lawrence Taylor.
No, but I'm sorry. Cam's correct. Joe Green. I'm sorry. She loves Lawrence Taylor.
For what Joe did for this team, and watching them create a dynasty, there's a lot to be said about that. And Joe will never talk about himself. He will talk about that steel curtain. But all those guys, when they talk about Joe, I've heard Tunch and Wolf talk about him for so many years, and Joe didn't shy away from it. And that's one guy I will always put as the top of the list.
Yeah, when you watch footage of those, and even the Lawrence Taylor era too, but when you watch footage of those 70, they killed each other, man. Every play is a penalty. Every
Joe didn't stop once the whistle was blown. Let's get that straight.
Oh, he started when the whistle was blown. Another thing, too, what is up with this picture? What was going on?
They're going to the prom.
I don't know what's more awkward, me or Kenny, because Kenny's in full prom date mode, and I don't know what I'm doing right here. I feel uncomfortable as it is.
The question really is, why was it released?
It was more of a joke just to mess with each other, but then I was like, the Steelers social kind of went off on us.
Yeah,
so
I had to defend you for a full day.
I'm just going to start interviewing them one day and see how they like and taking pictures of their stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Put that on a T-shirt for Heyward House. That would be a nice seller.
Good point.
Is it though?
I don't know. I'd buy one. Yeah. But that brings us full circle. Once again, most importantly, check out Heyward House, purchase something, make a donation for, as you can see, Cam not only loves the city, but he loves giving back to the community and helping the kids out. So anything that you guys can do to help out, Cam, I can't thank you enough, not only for all the great years that you've given the team as a fan. I'll always be rooting for you, and I hope you play many, many more years. I know you've got it in you. You have a different level than most people do.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. I think, it's cool to be on podcasts like this, and you guys do an amazing job. And, thank you for, supporting my foundation and, let me tell my side of the story.
Of course. Absolutely. Before we go, can you give us a quick ID? Would you mind?
Yeah.
All right, great. Hold on. I'm going to zoom in here. You're watching the whole podcast, and then you can say whatever you want before. And hold on one second. I'll let you know when. No, that's not the face we want. Okay, there we go.
So I'm just watching the whole podcast.
Yeah, yeah. And you're watching the whole podcast, whatever you want. But, this is Cam Heyward. You're watching. Blah, 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 blah.
Hey, everyone. This is Cam Heyward, and I'm on the whole podcast today. And, man, this is a good one.
Awesome, Cam. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it. Everyone, once again, go to the Cam Heyward Foundation. It's the CameronHeywardFoundation.org. Go there, make a donation. Cam, thank you so much. Thank you for watching.
Does Larry still have the dog that you gave him?
Yeah. Oh, the dog's getting humongous now.
Thank you for watching The Whole. I am Rob Sprance.
And I'm Lori Levine.
Later, motherfuckers.